it's not really difficult to figure out how much a low-level employee is worth. And that's not to say that figuring out someone's compensation is easy, but it's sort of an economic business decision that is straightforward. If this person generates $1,000 worth of profit every week, and after costs and everything like that, you can decide that this person should only be paid $500 per week out of the $1,000 of profit that they generate by building widgets or by doing marketing or whatever this employee is doing. But executives don't necessarily have a one-for-one relationship between the work that they do and the money that they generate for the company. So if someone is doing business development and they're flying all over the country, going to conferences and talking to investors and talking or doing building the company's brand or something like that by being an ambassador, how much money are they actually making for this person? It's for the company. It's very, very unclear because what they're doing might only have an effect in 5 years or 10 years when you realize that all of these relationships are starting to pay off in a big way. And so it's really difficult to figure out how much an executive is worth. Moreover, executives are also typically coming in with a wider skill set or a more comprehensive skill set. And so they're used to being compensated for their huge skill set. Executives are also potentially more mobile. So they can not only get low-level jobs, they can also get high-level jobs. So they're more hireable, and so they're more in demand, and so it's much harder to figure out what this type of person is worth. So you probably already know that. So let's actually get to some practical tips and understanding how this works. So if you're startup looking for investors, compensation decisions for first employees may have a dramatic impact on your business's ability to attract investors and raise capital. And this is because startups with lower compensation structures are more likely to succeed. And this is for tons of different reasons. Number one, if you're bootstrapping a company, bootstrapping means that you're paying for it out of pocket. All of the founders are paying for it. You're not necessarily raising money in a traditional sense from angel investors or venture capitalists or anything like that. And so you just last longer as a company when everybody's not being paid a lot of money to do what you do. And so time is one of the most valuable resources, and when you find ways to pay your executives lower compensation, it works out very well. More importantly, lower compensation lowers overhead, and so it'll make you more attractive to investors because investors don't want to see companies with huge overhead. So even if you have the best executives in the world and they're interested because you have people who have a huge track record of success, they won't like to see that all of these people are being paid at the level that a big company with a lot of money would pay them. Instead, they, again, want to see that these people are working because they believe in the business and have the passion for it, not because they're just getting a paycheck. Finally, lower salaries for founders and executives set similar expectations for other employees. And this is critical because you don't want someone making $100,000 in a company per year, while another person is only making $30,000 in that company. And right now they're working together as a team, and they seem to be making the same types of decisions. That type of thing breeds animosity, and it leads to higher expectations of all other employees coming in to want to be paid at the same rate or a similar rate as the highest paid executive. So some things that you should keep in mind when figuring out what your expectations should be for hiring executives. One point is that a lot of people ask me, how much should someone be paid? They ask me, how much equity should someone get? They ask me all of these questions. And at the end of the day, you can really only rely on industry standards, and you can really only rely on how much you believe that you can pay this person and how many other incentives that you can give away to this person to get them to work for you. It's not something a decision that somebody else can tell you how to do. It's really a decision that comes from yourself. So these are best practices to keep in mind. We went over this before. Lower salaries create lower business overhead costs. This will help you when you're bootstrapping your company. It'll make you more attractive to investors. This is also incredibly important that you can raise compensation later on, but it's really difficult from a practical perspective to lower compensation. So there are certain laws and contractual things about hiring executives that end up making it so that their compensation is sort of locked in place in a way that at-will employees typically don't have their compensation locked in place. But either way, the practical reality is if you hire someone at $100 a week, and then even if you lower it $1 to $99 a week because you need to make the budget, people will not be happy about that. The United States does not have a culture in which people act friendly to the idea that their salary is being lowered. Typically, people only expect their salary and hourly wage to be raised. So, you may want to, even if you can afford to pay a higher rate, to pay a lower rate initially at the outset when you send the offer letter or negotiate the contract with the executive, and consider raising compensation after you raise funds from third parties. So this could be any third party. It could be venture capitalists, angel investors, just parents, friends, family, through private investment. After milestones are met regarding the completion of the product. So if you are only 2 months out from the release of the product and finally you know it's going to be a huge success, and everybody's hurting because they don't make enough money, then at that point you can reach the milestone where you can raise the compensation. You do that at the point where you're about to release instead of at the point where you're making it, because there's all sorts of things that can go wrong before you're about to release. Projects can be delayed. The market can suddenly change and you'll need to remake the product into something different in order to be successful. So there's all sorts of things that can make a product that you assume might take 6 months to release take a year and a half to release. And you only want to be on the hook for raising the salaries once you've met the milestone where you know you're about to get your money back or you're about to start making more money. When the business begins to generate revenue or becomes profitable, again, you can wait till the product is fully released or the service is out there and everybody is making money now. And so, of course, at that point, it'll be easy to understand to what rate you can raise compensation based on what rate you're generating revenue at. If you provide lower salaries, you can provide other incentives to get the best people. So remember, it's not always about money. I mean, it's about money in a lot of situations when it comes to executive employment, but providing equity in the company, again, equity is the part ownership of the company, shows you that you want this person there long term. It shows them that if this company is successful in 5 years, 10 years, if it gets sold, that they might get a huge payday. And so they might forgo making a little bit of money now to make lots of money later on. Providing economic incentives. So this is benefits like health insurance, which people might not get if they're not working for you. If they get bonuses tied to performance. So let's say that this person is a salesperson and they sell $10,000 worth of advertising, then they might get a very, very low salary compared to people who are their peers, but they might get a huge bonus on that $10,000 sale because they provided a lot of value to you and you want to give back to them and you want to encourage them to keep doing it. And finally, providing non-economic incentives. So we could talk about this for a really long time, but you just use your imagination in terms of what this person actually wants and values. and make it a substitute for money. So you could give someone creative freedom. You could give them a great title. You can make them give them work flexibility so they can work at home, or they can make their own hours, or they can take 2 months off to be with their family or their child or something like that, where a normal company would not allow them to do that. And so using lots of different incentives can allow you to keep your executives' compensation of money out of pocket pretty low while you run your business. And so overall, that's a good thing. And so the lower you can get your compensation is always a good thing.